What's up, everyone? Algebra 2 CST release question 38 here. Here's what we got. What are the solutions to the equations x squared plus 2x plus 2 equals 0. And so you could try to factor this, but it would not be possible to factor it the normal way. What I mean by that is just taking this and trying to do stuff like this or something like this. You're thinking, okay, what are two numbers that multiply together to get 2 and then also add together to get 2? You could try that all day long, and the only way you can get something to multiply together to get 2 is 1 and 2, but that's never going to add up to 2. And so that's not going to work. I'm going to get rid of that then. And then we're going to go to our old standby, the quadratic formula. So the quadratic formula, it tells you if you have one side equal to 0, and you've got a parabolic function like this, you've got an x squared piece like that, quadratic function like that, you can use this formula. X equals, I'm going to sing it. Yes, I am. X equals negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. There it is. So quadratic formula to the tune of Pop Goes the Weasel. That helps me remember it. Hopefully it helps you too. But from there, what do we got? So we've got a is 1. A is the number in front of the x squared. That's nothing there. There is nothing there. So it's assumed that it's kind of an invisible 1. B is this right here. B is positive 2. And C is positive 2 as well. So we're just plugging those values in to this formula. And so we've got negative 2. I'm going to use parentheses for everything as I plug stuff in. And then B is still 2. So I have 2 squared minus 4 times 1 times 2. That's C as well. All over 2 times A. 2 times 1. And so this will give you negative 2 plus or minus the square root of 4. And then this would be minus 8 all over 2. So this simplifies. Looks like I extended that a little farther than I needed to. There we go. This simplifies down to this. Negative 2 plus or minus the square root of a negative 4 over 2. And so I notice right here, this doesn't have any complex parts to it. I'm thinking that's not going to be the answer. I have to have some complex numbers in here because I have the square root of a negative. And so think of this as, negative 2 plus or minus. It's like the square root of negative 1, remember, is like an I. And so we have this is going to be the same thing as, well, I'm going to get rid of that square root because the square root of 4 is 2, and then you'll have 2 times the square root of negative 1, which would just be the same thing as 2 times I. And I do feel like I want to explain that a little bit more in case that wasn't making sense to you. So remember that square root of negative 4, I'm just looking at that particular part of that right now. Square root of negative 4 is the same thing as the square root of negative 1 times 4. And you can split up radicals into their respective parts like this and this. So you have the square root of negative 1, which is I, and then you have the square root of 4, which is 2. And so that's the same thing as 2i. So that's where this is coming from right there. So from there, I've got over 2. I can reduce everything here. I can divide everything by 2. So because I'm dividing by 2, I have to divide each piece by 2. I have to simplify things or cancel things out in the same way. So all these will become a 1 when I divide everything by 2. And then I've got negative 1 plus or minus 1i over 1. That's what's left over. All these 1s really aren't necessary to write except for the negative 1. So what I really have is negative 1 plus or minus I. And so that is the same thing as saying you have two options, negative 1 plus I or negative 1 minus I. Take that literally. That plus or minus means you could either add I or subtract I. And so what answer is that? It looks like we have x negative 1 plus I, negative 1 minus I. Looks like choice C is the correct answer for number 38.